Hello, welcome to Podnas. This is a sports show with a Southern flair. I'm Daniel Hawks. That's Jared Roser. Today, we are reviewing this week of college football in the books. Week 5 is done. Saints, we'll get to the Saints, and also we got the high school top plays of the week for you. Jared, how are you doing? I'm
Doing
back 2 episodes in a row, 2 right points.
Yeah. Don't mess it up later this week. We talked last week was the bird episode. We hit on a lot of bird species. I don't like that anymore after Sunday, so I'd, respectfully request that you change your name.
Yeah, absolutely. Me? You could I'll cover this out, like wherever this is. Yeah. That guy, I'll blurt it out. How about that?
Can't wait to see what happens there.
So let's start off with the LSU game. LSU took care of business. At least someone beat an Alabama team this weekend, but we'll get more to that crazy game later.
That's fine. Some of us predicted an Alabama win. Mr. Right.
But let's get into this. I mean, LSU came out and handled business. It was just kind of, besides the pick by Nussmeier, he had a real good day. I didn't get to watch the game. I was bouncing around.
Go back and just watch the first 2 plays from scrimmage.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Durham run is incredible. I mean, the kid's got juice. He's got the juice. He's got the juice. Juice.
Yes.
Shut up. Yeah, there we
go. To old Chance, back when you still liked him.
I do still like Chance. Don't put that evil out there. I just want more out of Chance. Okay, there's a difference.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, great game by LSU. I don't know that you'd categorize it as their most complete game. I really thought the USC game was a nice game to start the season just against a really good opponent, but it was definitely up there. It was their most complete game that we've seen in a while, and I think it's in the conversation. You could make a case, particularly when you consider that Harold Perkins is out, and this is the first game without him from start to finish, to watch them go out there, start fast on both sides of the ball, have the big explosive plays by Caden Durham at the beginning, and then just maintain all the way through. They just gave up a single touchdown to a really capable South Alabama offense. And I talked about it in kind of the quick takeaways late as hell Saturday night going into Sunday morning. But the goal line stop late in the third quarter when they're already up 35-10, and a lot of the crowd is already headed home for the night, just, a late night there and the game well in hand. The level of energy and pride and all those things that guys like Whit Weeks, Major Burns and company took to still keep the Jaguars out of the end zone, I thought was a really big moment for that defense to play that way with the game already, again, well in hand, out of reach for the Jaguars and whatnot. And so you have what you see from the young running back, once again, doing just unreal things on the first 2 plays from scrimmage to, a touchdown and then running down to the goal line. You have Garrett Nussmeier with a career high over 400 yards, him also getting involved in the running game, and his second touchdown run, a nice run for a few yards on top of the earlier goal line. And then just the start to finish performance of the defense with fewer lapses than we've seen from them at any point this season. Really, really encouraging going into the bye week and then Ole Miss in 2 weeks.
I was going to say, yeah, going into the meat of their schedule, even I've used it before, but they took care of business. And that's what I want to see, especially losing their leader on defense.
TCB. Yeah, the linebackers looked good. I thought the defensive line played well up front, starting there and giving the opportunity for guys like Whit Weeks and Greg Penn and West Weeks and company to fly around and make a lot of plays. I think Penn ended up with 14 tackles or something like that. Whit not far behind him. And so, yeah, really encouraging to see those guys play that way. And honestly, as much as we've talked about this LSU team trying to find its consistency, to see them playing at that level as the calendar turns to October, when we watch all of these other teams not necessarily play consistently, because that's part of the nature of college football, from week to week and quarter to quarter and series to series. I think we've seen LSU under Brian Kelly do a nice job of coming together and peaking as the season goes on. And it feels like we might be seeing that again, that they're taking steps the right direction while we're still seeing a lot of other teams dealing with some ups and downs. And so suddenly that Ole Miss game that we circled as one of the big pivotal games on a national scale, and we'll talk about it more later this week, or I guess, more so next week, that game suddenly looks that much more winnable than already was the case potentially in a big rivalry. And you see Alabama look great early, but then struggle for a while. Georgia looked god awful early, but
Yeah.
then neither one of them pieced together a 4-quarter game. Obviously, the opponent on either side is great, and so there's a lot to be said for that. But a lot of teams dealing with lapses here for a few series or a quarter at a time. Utah loses. There were several top 10, top 20 teams losing, and so
I mean, even
uh,
in that Louisville Notre Dame, one of those teams, and Notre Dame pulls it
yeah,
out. But yeah, so one of those teams falls back, and the Miami with that controversial call on Friday night, but still, loss is a loss. They're down to 8.
K-State dominated
Yep,
Oklahoma State for a lot of that game.
yep. There's the parity is real, and it's back. College football's back, baby. Yeah. Do you think Old Miss? I mean, they're going to be coming off a loss, but do they play someone this week? Do we know?
Well, no, they go to South Carolina this week,
Okay,
so
so they'll get that out. All right, unless they lose 2, and
we'll
then
see, man. I really
yeah,
do. I think that just like we talked about after LSU had to battle its way back and win there, I think that South Carolina team is just better than we gave them credit for going into the season. I'm not necessarily saying that they win against Ole Miss, but I don't look at that game as a gimme either
no,
way. And
no,
so it
no,
could
no.
could be real interesting.
And the weapons that South Carolina has on offense, I think Ole Miss has a better offense, but like you saw in this game, like Dart looked confused a bunch versus I think of that Kentucky team is a lot better than people have given them credit for with how they played against Georgia and then how they won this game at Ole Miss. But
Yeah.
uh,
And look, the pressure that South Carolina can create just from those two ends or just from, 3 or 4 guys getting to the quarterback, that can make a quarterback look confused in a hurry too. So it'll be fun to watch on Saturday.
absolutely. Now, unfortunately, we have to talk about Sunday. Uh,
And look, I want to make sure that at some point we talk about Cajuns and Green Wave also, so we
Okay,
can
well, let's
put
hit that first. I'll put that. I'll put off. I'll put it off for a little bit. Let's go to this Tulane game. Jared, you were able to watch much more of this than I was. So, what was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, honestly, just with television dynamics and then also my schedule of trying to get some different things done, I didn't get the chance to watch nearly as much Wave or Cajuns live as I was hoping for, but I was keeping up as best I could. And the Green Wave came out Saturday morning and just, blew the brakes off of South Florida right off the bat, took control of that game and never let up. A huge win for those guys. I think that ends up being 45-10 as a final score. Yeah, 45-10 as a final score. Darian Mensah ends up leading the country in QBR this weekend, the redshirt
Oh, did he
freshman.
really? All right,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
18 for 24 for 326 and 3 touchdowns. They established the running game early with Mekhi Hughes, Dante Fleming, 7 catches for 128 and a touchdown. Mario Williams, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. And so a lot of guys getting involved, really, on both sides of the ball, because Gerard Henderson ends up being a conference defensive player of the week. But in terms of another team that a week ago, even against in a win against the Cajuns, they talked about needing to see a more complete game. The storyline for them ends up very similar to LSU in the fact that they get it. They do get that huge win to start conference against a really good South Florida team, and a lot sets up really well for them now the rest of the way through the American. And then that night, the Cajuns get the first ever win against an ACC opponent. They go up there and they lead most of that game. And then when Wake Forest hits back, the Cajuns
Yeah,
had
it was wild. It was
immediate
fun.
answers.
The last quarter of that game was so much fun to watch because it was just back and forth and back and forth and not. I mean, we could say would have liked to see maybe a couple more stops from that that Cajun
Oh,
defense, but
I thought you were about to
um,
go in on the refs right there.
no, yeah, it just let okay. why can't we just let people play the game? Why do refs sometimes
Like how quickly you are often to fly off the handle, and right now you're acting like a coach who's worried you're gonna get
because
fined by the conference.
I don't have enough in my head of points to say about this where I know I'm not going to be wrong about it. So let's table this. Let me rewatch some stuff,
Yeah.
and then I'll come
Four
back.
four dudes getting thrown out for targeting
No,
is insane.
it was ridiculous, and even the announcers were like, "I think this is might be the most targeting penalties," and it's so hard. Like I hate the college rule too of like getting ejected. Like, and I know when it's blatant, I think there should be like a flagrant foul. There's a flagrant foul, one flagrant foul, two. I think there should be different levels of
Yeah.
targeting
You
because
want to yellow
because
card him and red card him?
yeah, no, for sure. Like, I think that would be a great thing because like in the heat of the moment, kid is coming across like tries to lead with the shoulder, but then hits with his head, like, and then you get kicked out for that. Like, there's just no scenario as an athlete or a football player where, like, in that split second decision, you got to be like, okay, make sure that that's out of the way. I think that's so stupid. It's a stupid rule. And then when it gets enforced this heavily and stops the game this much, because every time they have one of those, they have to review it. That's a but like it can kills momentum of any team, especially if you're going to do it 4 times, like
Well, look, I mean, if there's anything football needs, it's more stoppages and commercial breaks and all those things.
everyone is
We're not taking long enough to complete a football game
well,
in 2024.
everyone is like pining after the CBS version of a football game where it's after every single thing that happens.
Mhm.
Oh, there's a 3-yard run. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
Yeah. I think it's been good and important to find ways to improve player safety within the game, but it definitely has gotten kind of wild the extents to
It,
which some of the calls are and the
yeah,
penalization for guys who are not trying to, because as you
yeah,
mentioned, it's easy to go back and watch it on slow-mo replay and make those decisions as opposed to how fast these guys are flying
yeah.
around in real time.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And like if a penalty is egregious and if someone is leading with their head or like down and that is all that they are doing, yeah, like that is a warranted like ejection or targeting, whatever the rule stipulates that it has to be. But like, I don't know, just a little bit of grace with like like we both said, the way that these athletes are flying around, like that those split second decisions. Well, yes, we want players to be safe, and I don't want to see anyone get carried out on a stretcher. Like that is scary as hell. Hate it. But
Yeah.
there are different levels to these kind of things. And
I
so why are we all saying it's one level?
I think we just keep referencing the yellow and red card to pander to our international audience
Yeah.
in England and Sweden.
It's actually someone that we know that does law is in London right now. And so we're pandering to that as well. So
Wait, from he's based in Chicago now, and
yeah.
he's in
Yeah.
our communal lawyer,
Yeah.
Joey Boy. Um, Good for him, man. Yeah, get those travels in before baby Brooms comes on board.
Yeah.
I
And
keep
that's our inside joke cam of the week.
I keep interjecting. I hate that I'm getting into a habit of interjecting to kind of break into the conversation.
Sorry.
But no. I hate that I'm doing it that
Oh,
way.
all right. Yeah.
I'm gonna work on the execution. So I actually, it's Monday afternoon right now. I'm coming from Coach Desimo's Monday press conference out in Lafayette, and he talked about it's not an excuse for those guys. He was asked about it this way, and so he referenced he does feel like Tyrone Lewis and Casey Osai being thrown out for targeting, probably the two of, if not the two leader communicators on that defense, two of the guys that are in that top tier of leaders on that unit. He feels like trying to adjust without them came into play at times in terms of execution on defense and getting off the field at times during the course of that game. But as he emphasized, that shouldn't matter, can't matter, doesn't matter, no one cares, you got to go win a football game. And ultimately, the Cajuns did. They found the plays necessary, and he was really impressed with the way that they handled some of the adversity of those things on the road against a Power 4 opponent, and thought that it showed a lot about where this team is right now through 4 games. And really, I don't know who of the Wave and the Cajuns I'm more impressed with from Saturday, who it was a bigger win for, because it was huge for both of them in their own rights, just different flavors of critical win at a pivotal point in the season. Credit to both of them.
And
Also, ULM with a big win over Troy too. So 4 of the 5 FBS schools come up with big wins.
all right. Did La Tech lose? Oh man, come on, Rustin.
I'm gonna keep sipping.
Also, just quick note. This Cajuns offense is real. Out of their 4 games, there's only been 1 game where they have not scored 40 points. And that game that they did score 40 points, they scored 34. So this offense knows how to put up points. It is dynamic, explosive. It's fun to watch. I had a lot of fun watching. I would say it was aloof Wake Forest fans, because like they didn't care at all. They have this big, and I've been to the Wake Forest campus. It's beautiful. They have this big like lawn in one of their end zones, and it looked like a social scene more than
The berm,
game.
a berm.
Yes.
I think the Cajuns felt right at home playing in a stadium with a berm, because they've got that happening in one of their end zones as well.
Do they really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a berm bowl on Saturday. The Cajuns, yeah, the confidence that they have in the quarterback Ben Wooldridge, and trusting him and those options around him to play aggressively, and the confidence that he's carrying with himself, that kind of instills that into the coaches and the teammates. I agree. It's fun to watch. Just as we've talked about Darren Mensah a few times for Tulane, it's fun to watch both of those offenses clicking right now.
Yeah.
And
both of the running backs, Davis and Perry, for you all. I mean, they're both averaging over 8 yards a carry. It's great.
And look, that's with the starter coming into the season. Draylon Washington has been banged up, and so you see the younger guys, Zylan Perry from Franklin Senior High down there in Franklin, Louisiana, and Elijah Bill Davis from Riverside Academy stepping up with some big. I honestly don't know. I've known Bill since he was, I guess, a sophomore in high school, and I covered kind of a breakout game for him, exploding in the absence of a senior star at that point. And I don't know that I've ever asked why he's Bill.
I don't think you need to.
Yeah, he just is.
When you're Bill, you're just Bill.
And he is Bill now too. I was told by Cajun's sports information director Matt Sullivan for the Tulane game. He said, "Hey, Elijah Bill Davis is just straight up Bill now. That's what we're going with."
That's what it says. I'm looking at the rushing stats right above me. It's Bill Davis. Mm-hmm. We love to see it. Let's go, Bill. All right, we've covered college football. Do we have to?
We do have to.
Okay. So
you go ahead, man.
The Saints lose to the Falcons on a 58-yard kick from Young Hoku. A game where Shaheed, if you say you don't muff a punt, maybe they don't win. There's a lot of game to be played. Taysom Hill gets hurt. I think it's very obvious the people that the Saints are missing on defense. The Saints should have won this game.
100%
should have won this game, and they should have put the game away multiple times, or just not been in situations that they were in. They put themselves in so many bad situations throughout this game.
They did not allow an offensive touchdown and lost 26-24 because of the muffed punt early and the interception return late in the second quarter. So particularly, I don't understand what Shaheed is doing at the 2-yard line, trying to fair catch a ball to begin with.
No.
And
either if they make that play off the bounce, good for the Falcons. But most likely it's going to go in the end zone.
The worst case scenario, if you let that ball go, is you're starting at the 2 yard or the 1 or 2 yard line.
Is
Best
he is
case,
he catch it? Is they catch it or they get it right at the 1 or 2 yard line, right where you muffed it?
the best case is a touchback. When he goes back toward the goal line and tries to catch it, the best case scenario is suddenly the worst case scenario of if you had let it go.
Yeah,
He hopes to catch it, and yeah, there's no sense to that at all. And so you go on the road in a big rivalry game, division opponent, and gift the home team a 7-0 lead. They responded really well to that, came back, answered, took a lead, but just a lot of miscues through the course of this game. And I I really feel like the Saints were overall the better team on the field for the bulk of that game, other than these glaring miscues that you can't let happen. And I mean, right down the stretch to, I know some people feel some type of way about the last of three, I think, pass interference calls against Paulson Adebo, where the ball's kind of underthrown and receivers coming back. But ultimately, he did interfere on that play, and it ends
yeah.
up being a really
The
bad mistake on his part.
the last one was an interference. It
Yeah.
just was. It just is by the definition of what the book is. It doesn't matter if it was underthrown. The ball was catchable.
Yeah.
So
And so there were miscues through the course of the game, but you bookend with a couple really bad ones to start and finish, and you end up losing a game by 2 points. I I still have more confidence right now in this Saints team than I did to start the season. I think a lot of us would have felt 2-2 was an okay
yeah,
place to be for what
yeah,
we
for
thought
sure.
going into the season. But we also, on our season preview, talked about the frustrations with the likelihood that they were going to lose a lot of close games for, reasons that we didn't have a level of trust necessarily in this team to pull out close games. And we saw them lose a really close game on the road that could be a pivotal game when we look back in December and January at how this season went. The fact that they couldn't win this one could end up being a real difference maker down the stretch.
Yeah, and I don't think. I mean, before the season, I was a big pessimist on the Saints. Um, I don't think they're going to win this division. I think the Bucks are just clearly the best team in this division. And shouts to Baker Mayfield, like he's finally playing like where he was drafted at, because he's playing great. But for the first 2 weeks, felt like, oh, I like completely eating crow. And then the last two, it's just been the Eagles game was just such a weird kind of, the game script got really funky. And it was just two good defenses going at each other. And this one, I was just kind of baffled. I mean,
I think the Saints, I think both of these teams, Saints and Falcons, are more in the mix with Tampa atop that division. I don't know that I look at Tampa as head and shoulders or a clear leader. I think it's going to be an interesting couple months. I do agree, though, that I think Tampa is the team to beat by a little bit.
yeah,
That's who I expect. I don't know if you saw the Baker Mayfield Tom Brady thing yesterday.
no,
There was a quote from Baker Mayfield about how he's just come in and tried to be himself, and that a lot of the guys gravitated toward the opportunity to have fun again. And this was a Tom Brady broadcast, and so he was very funny in his response to that. Of to me, pressure is not winning the Super Bowl. If I want to have fun, I'll go to Disney World with the kids, but I want to win football games. This is a business. And so his little mic drop moment on the broadcast was alone worth his foray into
oh,
broadcast. Just that moment.
I have not seen that. I'm gonna check that out. Absolutely. You kids check it out too. Watch it on the internet. So I'm sure it's up there. Meh. Uh
Yeah.
anything else you got for the Saints game as we wrap this up?
Not really. I mean, there's a level of where the Saints are right now and the level of frustration for a lot of fans coming out of Sunday that reminds me a little bit to how I've talked about the last couple of years of how the the Alabama win for LSU in Brian Kelly's first year sort of jumped the expectations drastically from where they had been. And so all of a sudden people are calibrating differently. But if you looked at this team being 2-2 a month ago, you would have felt like that was a reasonable spot, if not, a positive spot. And that's where they are now. But it's really frustrating the way they have gotten there the last couple of weeks after
Absolutely.
recalibrating because of those first two.
Absolutely. And next week is no joke either. I know they are banged up, but it's the Chiefs in Arrowhead on Monday night. With Kansas City is hanging on by threads with with guys right now. Pacheco's out. It looks like Rashee Rice is gonna have a torn ACL. Hope he doesn't. But he's definitely going to be out for this game and most likely the rest of the year, if not a significant portion of it. They are just stringing guys together, but they still have the best football player on the planet right now, Patrick Mahomes. What going into this game? What do you think this Saints' chances are to pull out what would be a huge win on Monday night, even with how banged up the Chiefs are?
Yeah, I think just trying to eliminate some of the mistakes that cost you a game you should have won this past Sunday. You have the long week to get ready for this game. You obviously have to go on the road and go on the road to a place that's tough to win. And I think certainly the Chiefs, regardless of whatever injuries, will be favored, and rightfully so. But that's a team that has consistently not put together 4 quarters this season. They've gotten behind. They were down 10-0 to the Chargers on this Sunday. And so if you can take advantage of some of that, assuming that some of the script stays the same for the Chiefs, where, they put themselves in a hole and just are able to dig themselves back out. If you can take advantage of that start dynamic, if you're the Saints, and then just hold on. I think
just hold on for dear life.
Yeah, I know that sounded bad, but ultimately as much as I think the Chiefs will likely win that game, and when we pick later this week, I'll pick the Chiefs to win in our predictions, I don't think that it's a game the Saints can't go up there and beat a team that should be better on the long haul of the season. I think they're capable of doing that.
Well, I'm going back to what was working, picking against the Saints every week. So you can just book that in for the rest of the season. And that's my superstition, and I'm sticking to it. So,
well, we appreciate your service.
Hey, thank you very much. I'll take a couple L's for the team. That is all that we have in our recaps this week. But as we do every Monday, we're going to move to our top plays of the week. And again, I'm glad Tyler Eagles kept this up. I have not seen these before, so these are honest reactions to these top plays. Let's get it going.
All right, so I like to start with a bang a little bit, and also this was a game that I was at on Thursday night, and so just kind of makes sense on a timeline standpoint. Chad Elsie Jr., running back for Ascension Catholic, right before half, the team's trailing the Dunham School, and this is I think there was another play after this, like a kickoff and maybe one play from scrimmage, but this is as time's expiring on the half. Might have even been a 4th down play and needed some yardage and got a whole lot of them. Catches it. And we're gonna watch this again. He's got all kinds of moves happening here. And once he gets upfield, he's pretty much got that angle to the pylon. But here's what, as I'm watching this, there's a defender at the beginning of this play who thinks he has an angle and is about to have an explosive hit on Chad Elsie. And instead, the defender comes away hurt from the hit he tries to put on, if you watch him.
Oh, wow.
And then Chad Elsie bowls over another guy almost as though he's run blocking for himself, and then spins off of, leaves 2 tacklers tackling themselves, and then has some green. And so he's gone at that point.
Oh, my goodness.
He's a senior who's been prolific for the Bulldogs, still looking for a college home, and he does this sort of thing regularly. He's fantastic. Looking forward to what's ahead for him.
I hope that kid's okay that laid the shoulder. But there's a DK Metcalf video where someone tries to hit him and the defender falls down. And he's like, "Oh, I'm built different. You're gonna have to come at me harder if you want to get me down." And that's what that entire road reminded me of.
Absolutely. We have now a couple of game winners late in games. Denham Springs kicker, I'm going to tell you the name here, Jonathan Bravo, Johnny Bravo, with the as time expires field goal against East Ascension.
I mean,
It's good.
Great camera work. I love it.
Yeah, camera goes crazy. I don't know if that's family or classmates in a student section, but it was wild there. I think that was his second game winner of the season already early on in the season. But
Hey,
Johnny
stakes
Bravo
matter.
doing work.
I love that. Johnny Bravo, high stakes. High stakes, Johnny Bravo.
And this one, I don't think this was his time expired, but late for Airline against Evangel, a back and forth game. Airline is now trailing after an Evangel score. And Northwestern State commit Ben Taylor has Mississippi State commit Kenny Darby. You see Ben there takes a shot and still delivers the strike to Kenny.
Yeah, I need to see that again.
I'm not saying it's Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin, but it had some vibes to it of that nature in terms of standing in with the game on the line.
Did that win for them? Was that a game winner?
They end up winning. That's the last score to go up late.
Wow.
And then the fourth option here is,
I was going to say one more.
is Ruston linebacker, Louisiana Tech commit Zarek Hill, who I don't know that I've ever seen this happen, but he has on his highlights from the weekend against Midland, which they went out there and won big out in Texas. Woo! He has 3 different angles on all of his highlights from the game. And so we got the look at the leaping play there from the side, and then watch him, number 21 there, covering some ground, jumping up, catching it, making a guy miss, and finding his angle back across field to the end zone. The Jets. And so nice play. He's had a knack for doing this throughout his high school career for the Ruston Bearcats. The first time I saw him live, he had a huge game-changing pick six right before the half down at Lafayette Christian, and he just kind of does that.
Does he have a college home?
He's going to hometown Louisiana Tech. He's a senior this year, takes on a bigger role this year with that Ruston defense after they graduated a great group of seniors last year. He fills big shoes in now Louisiana Tech freshman Jaden Mayfield, and Zarek is committed to following that path next year as well.
Let's do it. And I know it's the right thing to say, but just the word college home makes me. Does he have a college home? Does he have a place to lay his head at night educationally?
looking for that home for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, we love to see it. Well, you're going to be able to vote on these top plays of the week. Go to our Instagram, PODnas_LA. Vote for which play you think is going to be the winner. We're going to let you know next episode who wins. We'll also post it up on the socials, but you pick it. We do not. We just give the good plays to the people. We need you to tell us which one is the best, because if it was me, I'd vote for them all. So everyone would be the top play of the week, and that's just not possible. So, Jared,
Daniel doesn't pick them. I don't pick them. International superstar William Hung does not pick the plays of the week. That's for you folks to decide.
That is for you folks. And if you are like, what do you mean William Hung, the She Bangs guy from American Idol 15 years ago? Go watch the last episode, okay? That's all I'm going to tell you.
I was trying to remember how I even originally knew of William Hung, how he came into our lives.
American Idol. She bangs. So, that is all we got for you today. Jared, do you have any shout outs, any things you want to talk about on the channel?
That's about it, man. Just a couple of hours ago, they announced On 3, I'll be doing some work now for the Bengal Tiger, the LSU On 3 site. And so looking forward to joining Shea Dixon and the guys over there, a great team that they've had in place already. And also, getting a chance to incorporate some of this Louisiana versus all y'all stuff into some of the things they do, just kind of branching out and covering more statewide high school and recruiting stuff for those guys, as well as chipping into some of their already top-notch LSU team coverage.
And that is amazing. So let's just give you your roses when you deserve some roses, man. All right, let's do it.
Is that a pun?
No. Oh, it could have been. If I would have executed it better, it might have been, but that's like the story of my life. So
Sure.
please like, share, comment on this video. Follow the Louisiana versus All Y'all YouTube page. Find everything you need to know on Louisiana recruiting, Louisiana sports. It's all there. You can find old episodes of Podnas and so much more on there. Like we already said, Instagram is podnas_LA. We've got content going up there. We've got the stupid William Hung stuff. If you want to actually know, if you want to figure out what happened with William Hung last episode, go to the Instagram page. It'll be right up there for you. It's the last video that we have up before we'll put up the top plays of the week. I don't have anything else for you. Jarrett's done. Podnas out.
And it's a ticket talking margin for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I've been comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.